How's it going, guys? Welcome to this painting tutorial. This time I decided to paint an Emperor's Champion Space Marine from the Black Templars chapter. This video is a little bit different from my other ones. Here I dive into different techniques for blending and layering with a wet palette. I hope you like this video and we shall start. I'm going to start with the primed black miniature, which you can see it on my previous video, and I'm going to use the black, Eshin Grey, Downstone, and Administratum Grey. I'm gonna lay every color in a wet palette like this one here. You can look into YouTube and find various methods to make your own, but what I'm going to do here is I'm gonna lay the colors next to each other, as you can see here, and I'm going to create a gradient from the darkest to the lightest, mixing in between the colors so that I can have midtones between each color. Also, I added a couple of drops of drying retarder. The one that you can see here, this is Vallejo drying retarder medium, and I'm going to use a little bit of it just to keep the paint moist and to have longer time to work with it. So this is the first time that I really show how I'm going to use my paint. I almost every time assume that people know how to handle them. This time I'm trying something new with the wet palette that I didn't use always. I just started using it, so I'm not really an expert on this sort of thing, but here's how it's going to start. I'm going to take the second darkest color, because coloring black it will just be the same. So I'm going to take the second darkest color and I'm going to start coloring all of the highlights of the model. If you see your miniature under a light source, you can see places where the light reflects, and they change as you move the model around, but you have to pick an angle and try to highlight all of the places that light bounces off. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to start with the second darkest color and start coloring in all of the places without worrying too much, because this color won't show too much. But the gradient that I'm going to be doing, taking the second color now, it's going to start making the highlights a little bit more visible and more subtle, so that the model doesn't end up looking gray instead of black. So what I'm going to do in the second, third, fourth steps that I'm using the new one lighter color than the previous one, I'm trying to take on less area of the highlight and going all the way through to Administratum Grey. And yeah, that's basically it. I hope I explained myself well. That's what I'm doing here. And having a wet palette and the drying retarder allows you to blend the colors a little bit if you feel like it. If you feel that you covered a little bit more area that you should, you can go to the previous color and take the old color back up or down or whatever you want to do, and gives you a little bit more freedom and control of what you're doing and how much highlight you want to use. And yeah, I tried this out and I really like this method, and this I'm going to do for like 3 or 4 parts of the miniature overall, and I hope I explained myself well. This is essentially layering, not really wet blending, although you can do it this way. I'm just trying to layer colors and trying to get the smoothest transition I can get with these colors. And if you don't know how to make a wet palette, it's really simple. You just take some container like I have here, that is a sandwich box, and take some parchment paper or wax paper and put it on top of a paper towel, and just use water to damp the whole surface, and let the excess water just drop off of the container. Just tilt it to drop the extra water that you have, and that's it. You can just start laying colors over it, and they won't dry in a long time. Even if it is straight from the pot, they will continue to be wet for a long time. Just make sure that the paper towel is completely damp, wet, and it'll stay that way for a long time. And here I am layering the penultimate color, getting sort of an edge highlight with where most light bounces, and then I'm going to use the pure Administratum Gray to give the finest, lightest highlight to the armor. So this is a little bit, I would say, advanced techniques maybe. I mean, I'm no professional painter, and I don't paint miniatures to a very, very high standard that much. I usually paint above tabletop, probably. That's what people tell me. And I will do some other time a proper Black Templar tutorial for tabletop quality army, because to be honest, you cannot take this much time to paint all of your miniatures. This is just because this one is an HQ and I want it to look as good as I can. I'm taking the extra time to make it look the best I can. Now here I think I'm using the Administratum Gray, the pure color, and giving the final highlight to the black armor. And that's it. And because this video focuses a little bit more in the color transition of things, it's gonna be a little bit long, and it's gonna be 3 10-minute parts. And here I'm moving on to other colors now. I'm going to use Celestra Gray to base coat the places that I want to be white, which white is a hard color to cover over black, but if you do it with as many layers as I'm going to use here, that won't be a problem at all. Just make sure to apply this color thin. Use your wet palette to place your paint, and then give it a little bit of water, about 1 to 1. It's okay if it's a little less, and just start applying it over all of the white areas, which in this case are the shoulder pads and the little leaf clown. I don't know how it's called, but yeah. And then I'm going to use Balthasar's Gold for the gold areas. I decided to go back and use only Citadel colors this time, except for the black, which is the Vallejo model color black, just because it's more available to everyone. And yeah, let's face it, it's a little bit harder to use the alcohol-based old range that I like so much, but it's a little bit more difficult. So I'm going to, just for this one, so I'm going to stay with only Citadel colors. Remember to thin the color down, and this is all for me. Thank you very much for watching the first part of this tutorial. I hope you enjoy the rest, and I hope you like this video. Thank you very much for watching, and check out my Facebook page in the description, and I'll see you later.